Is Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors?
In a world where there is Media Day Jimmy, look at those hairstyles. There's Playoff Jimmy. Look at those wins. Look at those wins. And then there is Commercial Jimmy. Well, now there may be Warriors Jimmy.
So the Jimmy Butler saga continues. Last week it was Brooklyn Nets. Today is the Warriors. When talking about the Brooklyn Nets and Jimmy Butler, I said that makes no sense because Brooklyn should be rebuilding, and if Jimmy wants to win a championship, he's not going to win one there with that current roster. But Jimmy Butler to the Warriors? That could be interesting. There's no doubt in my mind, if they get Jimmy Butler, they are 100% a contender to win the championship. Because Jimmy Butler, for example, on the Miami Heat, he was the clear-cut #1 option 2 years ago, let's say. And he went to the Miami Heat. He went to the NBA Finals against the Denver Nuggets, and guess who he played along the way? The Boston Celtics, who are the current NBA champions. And yes, that team did not have Porzingis or Drew Holiday, but they were heavily favored to beat the Miami Heat, who also had injuries, including Jimmy. He got injured in the first round, and he took over against the Milwaukee Bucks, who were also heavily favored over the Miami Heat. So we know Jimmy Butler, as the #1 option, can carry a team in the playoffs. Playoff Jimmy, we've seen it before. Now he gets to go to a team where he's not the #1 option and he doesn't have to do all those things that he has to do with Miami. Look out. Honestly, it would be a win for Jimmy. There's a good chance he gets a ring if he goes to the Warriors, and obviously depending on, what they have to give up. But Jimmy Butler on the Warriors alongside Steph Curry and Draymond Green, excluding everybody else, that's already really nice. Yes, Jimmy Butler is not a three-point shooter, although he makes the threes when it counts. If you watch him, especially in the playoffs, you're like, oh, he's not gonna, shoot a three. Shoots the three, makes it. A lot of it is about confidence. And where I think this is a perfect match for the Warriors is the playoff Jimmy aspects. His experience, his ability to show up in big games. In crunch time, he doesn't give up. He plays super hard. All the things that the Warriors would want, he does. I'm not saying his style of play exactly fits what the Warriors do. Because, he's not a super fast tempo. Not that he plays slow, but, Miami Heat style of basketball is not the same way the Warriors play. But that's not to say Jimmy can't play fast and, get out in transition. I'm not saying he doesn't do that and he can't do that. I'm just saying the style of play between the two teams are completely different. And while it may not be the same kind of fit that Kevin Durant was when he went there, obviously Kevin Durant just was everything the Warriors could have ever asked for in terms of a fit. However, Jimmy Butler definitely checks off a lot of boxes. Like I said, one of the biggest aspects is the playoff stuff. The Warriors are not concerned about the regular season as long as they get a playoff spot. That's all they're really concerned about. They've been there, done that. But having someone like Jimmy, who will show up and play every game and make defensive stops and make big plays, that is invaluable. A Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler combination on the defensive end, crazy effort. Crazy effort. If Miami doesn't want to give him that extension, this may be a good win, an opportunity for everybody involved. Because like I said, the Brooklyn thing makes no sense for anybody involved, except maybe the Miami Heat if they got a player they wanted back, but Brooklyn was not or is not going to give up Claxton or Cam Thomas, and they already have Bam anyway, in terms of Claxton, so that doesn't even make sense. Now, if I'm the Warriors, though, the Miami Heat are going to be asking for Kuminga and Moody, and if you watch this page, you know what I'm about to say. You can't give up Kuminga. But something to look out for, though, on a serious note, is that Kuminga and Moody are eligible for extensions. And with the way that Kuminga has been getting better and better, putting Moody aside for a second, the way that Kuminga has been getting better every single season, he may want a big contract extension, and I don't know what the Warriors' interests are in that. I'm not saying they don't want to pay him, and I'm not saying they're saying he doesn't deserve it. That's not what I'm saying. But we saw the Jordan Poole situation when they paid Jordan Poole right after he had an amazing season and a lot of things went crazy, and obviously it wasn't just because he got the contract, but I'm sure that left a sour note in the Warriors organization. So again, I'm not saying they don't want to commit to Kuminga, and I'm not saying they will not give him an extension. Again, if you watch this page, you know I'm a huge fan of his. I think Kuminga's going to be a star in the league for years to come. However, there may be a little bit of, hesitancy from the recent experience with, Jordan Poole. Whereas Jimmy Butler is on the last year of his deal, so they don't have to extend him. And we know what Jimmy Butler brings in the playoffs and what he does. So, there's not many question marks. Maybe the Warriors want financial flexibility going into next offseason. I don't know. I don't know exactly what their plan is. Maybe if they got Jimmy, they extend him. Who knows? But I'm just saying, while I am not on board as a just fan of Kuminga in general to trade him because I just feel like his potential is so high, I also do understand how it could make sense to get Jimmy financially and maybe in the playoffs, because Kuminga is still very young. So while he may be able to do a ton of good things in the playoffs, he may also be not ready. It's hard to be that young and be in the playoffs. And at this point, with the current roster, while he wouldn't be the number one option, Kuminga, he would definitely be one of the focal points. They would be counting on him to be the focal point. Not the focal point. One of, the second or third option, scoring-wise. So, all I'm saying is, I don't doubt Kuminga, his skills and all that. I'm just saying, we don't know what would happen in the playoffs because we haven't seen it. So, it's the same thing with, the JJ Redick coaching situation. I'm not saying JJ Redick's going to be a bad coach or a good coach. We haven't seen it yet, so we don't know. Kuminga did get some playing time in the playoffs. I'm just saying, we haven't seen him being, a Clay to Steph. You know what I mean? The clear second option, getting 35 minutes a game in the playoffs. We haven't seen that yet, so, we just don't know. And as for the Miami Heat, if they trade Jimmy, they're clearly going in a sort of rebuild mode. They have, Bam, who is in his prime, but, he still has some time. It's not a one-year situation where they need him to win a championship right now, or it's kind of over for him. So they might be able to take on a slight rebuild, a 2 or 3 year rebuild, maybe. And like I said, Kuminga is definitely someone who, around the league, definitely has a lot of value. Because how young he is, because of his potential, and because what we saw he did last season, he clearly can get really good. And then Moses Moody. I love Moses Moody. I always thought he was going to be good coming out of that draft. And I feel like he should have had more playing time last year. I feel like one of the best things about Moody is he's so smart. Yes, Moody is a good three-point shooter. He is a good player overall. But one of the best things about him is his IQ. He makes no mistakes. And if he does make a mistake, it's so rare. Even if he wasn't playing for the first or second quarter, he'll come in and make defensive stops, get a super smart layup or an open three in the corner. He knows what he's doing on the basketball court. And while he may not have the same value around the league that Kuminga does, that kind of value is something that every single team in the league needs. So this is just a rumor, right now. Nothing is set in stone, but this is definitely very interesting. I would keep this on my radar because I feel like there is a way where this is a win for every team involved.